So who pays for maintenance when you're doing your rent-to-rent deals? Let's find out, shall we? Hello, my name's Mark Fitzgerald and it's great to have you joining me here on the Property Unleashed YouTube channel. Who pays for maintenance? Well, let's go through that now because there's some fundamentals that people get mixed up in when looking to do rent-to-rent deals and also set it up with the landlords. So what I would say is, in most cases, we offer maintenance. Why do I say in most cases? Because if you say we offer complete maintenance, that means basically you cover everything. So you're covering the boilers, you're covering the plumbing, you're covering the roofs. You've got to lay down a foundation here. And obviously the landlord is going to have some responsibility in the property themselves because they still own it. So if you were doing a purchase lease option where you were looking at buying the property later on, potentially to sweeten the deal, you would take on everything. So you would take on the actual, the roof, the walls, the doors, everything about the property you would take on. But on rent to rent, we don't want to be taking on everything like that because we don't own the property. All right, we might potentially buy it in the future, but right now we're not buying it. It's still in the landlord's name. It's still owned by somebody else. So you want to have some clear-cut guidelines and you want to make sure these are terms are really clear in your contracts that you're using. So whatever contract you're using, you want it laid out, who's responsible for what, so that if anything happens, and we've got to be proactive if anything does happen, and even if it's the landlord's responsibility, sometimes it's worth going out there, getting the work done, and then billing them back. But make sure you've got those sort of terms in your contracts. The contracts I use and I give to my students, they have all these terms already in there because I already use them. Do you know what I mean? So make sure if you are getting hold of any contracts that they're properly looked at by a solicitor or they've been used. I'd still say let a solicitor look at them personally, myself. Just let them have an overlook and make sure you've got the right terms and everything in there. So anyway, maintenance in the properties. If you take let's just take a house. So we'll say an HMO, we could say a flat, we could say anything. They've all got different things, but fundamentally, everything has heating, everything has electrics, everything has plumbing. Otherwise, how do you live? So what I tend to do is I say that the landlords are responsible for their boilers. Now, I will get the boiler serviced every year and I will get the gas certificate done on the boiler. But that will be at the landlord's expense. They don't have to do anything. I shall organise it and I don't charge them any fees for organising it and sorting it out with my team, but they pay the plumber to come and do that. The electrics are the same. So any tests that are done on the electrics, any pack testing or anything like that is also sorted out by my team, but paid for by the landlord. The house itself is normally insured by the landlord anyway. So if they have a roof problem or cracks in the walls or anything, some serious damp or repointing that needs doing, a lot of the time the insurance will cover that and they'll already have that sort of cover. If they've got a mortgage, they will have to have had insurance in most cases as well. I always say the windows and the doors and everything, again, are the landlord's responsibility. Now, if somebody has a mishap and breaks a window, then that's a different game. But if something happens that's a bit of a freak incident and it's not through neglect in any shape or form, then it is the landlord's responsibility. And again, it's probably covered on their insurance. Now you could say, what about the carpets? What about the furniture? A lot of the time, if the furniture, and most cases, the furniture is already in there when I've taken on properties, but you might have to put the furniture in. If you're putting the furniture in, that's your responsibility at the end of the day. If it's the landlord's furniture, and I've taken over a lot of properties with some really good furniture in, I always say that I'll maintain that furniture and I'll replace any that gets worn, old, or just gets a bit knackered or broken or something like that. Why do I do that? Well, because at the end of the day, it's not going to last forever. Do you know what I mean? So it's, if you're doing a 5-year rent-to-rent contract, furniture, if you can get 5 years out of it, is going to need replacing, but you've got your money's worth out of it. Now, you could say to the landlord, well, if it's their furniture, it's their responsibility. They should have insurance on it. You can do that, but I've always said that I'll maintain it, and I've had to change the odd chest of drawers, the odd wardrobe. It's nothing much, the odd bed. It's nothing major or massive or anything like that. As long as your deals are stacking and cash flowing very well, it's an easy thing to do. But you can give that back to the landlord and say, well, whatever furniture I put in, I'm responsible for, and whatever furniture you've got in there, you're responsible for. So again, this is very much negotiated and can be put any which way that you sort of like. But the fundamentals of the plumbing, the electrics, and the actual house itself is the landlord's responsibility. Now, when I say I take care of maintenance, or I take care of maintenance in most levels, it's like light bulbs, switches, door handles. You know, if there's a leaky tap, we'll get that sorted. If we've got a leaky valve on a radiator, again, we'll probably get that sorted without actually charging the landlord. You know, white goods, you could say. So what are white goods? Well, white goods are your washing machines, your fridges, your ovens, your microwaves. Again, if they're already in there, they're the landlord's responsibility. Now, on a few deals, I've gone 50-50 on the white goods because obviously they've been pretty new when they're there. So I think, well, they're going to last a few years. And then it's just really, you know, showing goodwill. But in the end now, I just let the landlord pay for the white goods. Again, we will get it replaced. We will just ask them quickly if they're happy with the price of what we've sourced, and we will get it in there. We will get it fitted at no cost to them. So everything's in hand and all good. Carpets, well, if carpets get damaged, again, you could go off the insurance, or you can get carpets changed. And like I say, decorating and painting, we maintain that. My company, myself, maintain that, not the landlord. We'll maintain the property, make sure that it's kept good and clean. I'm talking about cleaners. We'll also pay for the cleaners out of our own money to have my own team going in there, cleaning it, make sure that they're maintaining it, make sure they're on top of everything, and they will report any problems that they come across and anything like that. So when it does come to maintenance in any of your properties, you want to be making sure that you're doing your checks. So if you have regular cleaning going on in there, you want to have it so that if they see anything, they report it. If they see a little bit of damp on the ceiling, it could be potentially from the bathroom or an ensuite, or somebody spilled something, but you want pictures, you want them reporting it to you. You know, you can use WhatsApp. They can WhatsApp a member of the team, pictures, video footage, anything like that. If radiators start to look a bit corroded when they're cleaning around those as well, I always say take a picture and just let us know. Anything that you're not sure about, take a picture and let us know. In which case then we can pass that on to my handyman. He will go in there and he will sort these things out. It's best to have prevention before you actually have a major problem. And of course, a little leak that might start just showing a few signs of coming through could all of a sudden burst into some massive problem you've got to be careful of, and you've got to be proactive on as well. So maintenance levels and things like that, it really is down to what you want to do. I say when you do your first deals, you'll probably take on a bit more maintenance than you actually will when you do other deals, because you just want to sweeten the deal as much as possible. And again, it really is down to the discrepancy of what you want to do. If you're taking on a property and you're putting the furniture in, you're basically liable and for maintaining the furniture. Now, if you put tenants in and you're doing it as tenants, then obviously a deposit there. If they break anything, you can take it out of the deposit. Exactly the same for your serviced accommodations as well. People pay deposits or holding fees for properties, and of course you've normally got their details as well, so you can actually go back and say if there's any problems. Now, what we will find on serviced accommodation with like Airbnb and Booking.com, it can be an absolute pig to actually make a claim against anybody unless it's really obvious and a massive thing. So just be mindful of those sort of situations and problems that you can have there. But again, if you're doing HMOs, you've got a tenant in there, you can just take it out of the deposit and things. But I would talk to people, I would see what happened and why it happened, basically, and whether it was something that was always happening, or something that they just didn't report, or whether they just had an accident. At the end of the day, sometimes people do have accidents. We have accidents in our own home. So I try and get my tenants to just report anything that happens. And at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, if they've spilt something on the carpet and they're afraid to report it because they think they're going to be charged for it, I've said, listen, if I can get my cleaning team in there and we can actually sort the carpet out and clean it because it's not been dried up and matted and really ruin the carpet over 6 months, we might be able to go in there and for 10-20 quid we might be able to just tidy that up, we may be able to clean it all away, and we may be able to sort it out. And in most cases we probably wouldn't even charge you at the end of the day, but then if you do it again, yeah, we're going to have to. So that's that sort of thing. Keys and stuff like that, again, you'll keep your own keys, you'll keep your own lock boxes and things, so you will be liable for those, you will be paying for those yourself. So really on the maintenance front, you want to keep it as easy for the landlords as possible. In fact, you want to try and keep the landlords out of it as much as possible. To a point, you want to have a good working relationship with them. You want to be able to contact them and communicate with them when you need to for things that they need to basically say yes or no on. But you also want to have a clause in your contract that says if you can't get hold of them and it needs doing, you are in your rights to get it done, and you can even then potentially charge them a fee for doing the work. Why? Because you need to be able to communicate with them. They need to be there for answering any questions when it needs to be done. Myself, I just tend to, like I say, get it done and then just let them know. But you build up that trust over time. So if you've got any issues early doors, then it might be a little bit harder to actually say this and say that. But if your contract's right, and you've got all your terms and everything laid out in your contract, and you can even read it to them and just say, no, you've agreed, you're liable for this, I'm liable for that, I need you to sign this off, this is what we need to do. Now we can use anybody you want, i.e. plumbers, electricians or anything, or I can use my team, it's entirely up to you. I can have the invoice sent straight to you, but mark my words, if it's somebody that I've used, then I tend to try and pay them myself so that they get paid quickly and they get paid on time, so that a landlord's not going to drag his heels or her heels or anything like that and potentially upset, I was going to say something else there, potentially upset somebody that works for me. So I would tend to pay them and then I would just take it off the rent. But again, you'd have the clause in the contract. So I hope that's cleared things up a little bit for you when it comes to maintenance, what you want to be looking at taking on, what you don't want to be looking at taking on, and basically, you know, you can start now yourself thinking about these things, you know, walk around your own properties, have a little look and just think, yeah, we could do that, that and that. But we don't want to do this, this and this. So that should help clear things up a bit for you. So if this video's helped you, then check out www.thepropertyunleashed.com for my free tools and resources on my website. They are there to help you. Also check out the podcast. And if you've enjoyed this, subscribe, like, share, do whatever it is you want to do. I am here every week to try and help you out with all the tips and tricks. Why? Because what goes around comes around in life, and I love helping people, I love supporting people, and I enjoy doing things like this. So I hope this has helped you, and I hope that you keep moving forward. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.